Good morning, Willowbrook. I hope you're having a fantastic Wednesday. Thanks for joining me today for just a few minutes. Several weeks ago, I went to my doctor for my annual physical. And when you go to the doctor for a physical, as you know, there's always things to change. Maybe you need to lose weight. Maybe you need to bring a level down here and there. Maybe they tell you you're going to have to change your eating habits a little bit, all kinds of things. And part of this physical, though, this year was to do an eye test. And so I went into the hallway, looked down the hallway at an eye chart, and they gave me my results, which were that I still had 20/20 vision. I've been so thankful my whole life to have 20/20 vision, which means you can see clearly without the aid of glasses or contacts. And you know, there's a saying that says, hindsight is 20/20. And you probably know what that means. It just means when you look back on events of your life, maybe things that didn't go exactly the way you wanted them to, when you can see them on this side, see it clearer, you probably would have changed some things along the way so the end result would have been different. Well, obviously hindsight being 20/20 means you can't change it now. It is what it is. And in 1 Corinthians chapter 10, Paul gives us a hindsight view of the Israelites. Things that they did that we can learn from. You see, in the beginning of the chapter, he just tells us that the Israelites were completely taken care of by God. They were led, physically led by cloud and by fire. They were led on dry ground through a sea to safety. They were taking care of their hunger and their thirst. God had complete care for them, taking care of them always. And yet, Verse 5 says, nevertheless, God was not pleased with most of them. Their bodies were scattered in the wilderness. We know that only Caleb and Joshua were the only two adults out of that group to even enter into Canaan. So for the Israelites, hindsight being 20/20, if they knew the end result, probably would have changed the way they did some things along the way. Verse 6 says, these things occurred as examples to keep us from setting our hearts on evil things as they did. So Paul's basically saying, hey, Israelites did these things and we can learn from their mistakes. We can learn from what they did. So what did they do? Well, they set their eyes on evil things, on idols, and they indulged in sexual immorality and they were punished. They tested God and they were punished. They grumbled against Moses and Aaron and they were punished. And verse 11 says these things happened to them as examples and were written down as warnings for us on whom the culmination of the ages has come. So what can we learn? He says, if you think you are standing firm, be careful that you don't fall. I think that's so interesting the way he words that, because anytime you have a firm stance, if you're standing somewhere where you are completely feel safe, really the thought of falling isn't in your mind. And yet he's saying, even in your firmest stance, be careful that you don't fall, because we are human beings and temptation is lurking right around the corner. Matter of fact, temptation happens every single day. And temptation itself is not a sin, but it's something that the devil would use to lure you into a sin that would hurt a right relationship with God. And he says this, no temptation has overtaken you except what is common to mankind, meaning that whatever temptation you're facing, someone else has already faced it. I mean, it's out there. Temptation is out there. It's common. And he doesn't say, but God right here. He says, and God is faithful. I love that. I love the way he words that, because it's just so matter of fact. Hey, you're going to face temptation and God is faithful. It's like there's two things for sure. Temptation's coming. God is faithful. And he will not let you be tempted beyond what you can bear. But when you are tempted, he will also provide a way out so that you can endure it. So hindsight being 20/20 now for us, we can see what the Israelites went through. We saw that they were punished. And for us, we are going to face temptation. We are going to fall, but God's grace is greater than our sin. Praise the Lord. But yet, even in our sin, we can be reminded and encouraged that God is not going to leave us. Through temptation, he is going to provide a way out. I hope that encouraged you today. We stand firm on the truths of our great God, that he is with us, he's for us, and he will provide a way out in the midst of our temptation. Hope that helps you to see a little more clearly today. Have a great day, and we'll see you next time.